heads that bleed orange and black. This is Sports Phone KNBR. Sponsored by Industrial Metal Supply on the Sports Leader. Check the live stream on YouTube at KNBR 1045. Here's your host, FP Santangelo.
Are we having fun yet? Giants win 3-1. They go to 4-1 on the season. FP San Frantangelo here. I'm here till, 9:30 tonight maybe? We'll see. We'll play it by ear. If you guys are calling, the show's cooking. We'll keep it for as long as we want. How are we feeling, about the game tonight? I mean, 3-1. They got 4 hits. They got clutch hits. Elliot Ramos. We're throwing names like, Willie Mays and Felipe Alou around with Elliot Ramos. He now has an extra base hit in 5 straight games. He's the first Giant player to open a season with an extra base hit in 5 consecutive games since Willie Mays in 1971. You probably just heard John say this. And the only other Giant player to do it was Felipe Alou, 6 games in 1963. I guarantee you that both of those guys had hustle doubles in there, Willie and Felipe. So really cool to see Elliot Ramos kind of picking up where he left off with his All-Star campaign last year. 3 double plays, Adames with a big double, Ramos, like I just said, his 3rd home run, 5 RBIs on the season. He's on pace for 162 RBIs by my dumbass math. So this is fun. And let me open the show with this. Glenn Kuiper is going to join us around 8:30, and we'll talk some Giants baseball. We'll talk some baseball in general. So stay tuned for Glenn. I want to tell you in what a road trip, an opening road trip, and winning on a road trip does for a team. So in spring training, you're with the families. They all come down to Scottsdale. It's wives, kids, everybody's there. You're getting up early in the morning. You're going to the yard. You're coming back. You're making dinner. You're playing with the kids. It's family time. You're getting ready for the season. But most spring trainings, wherever you are as a Major League Baseball player, the families go. My son still talks about his 4th birthday in Scottsdale, and Barry Bonds came around the corner and came to his birthday party. Still remembers that. So it's there's balloons at Scottsdale Stadium, and my son celebrating. That's what spring training is. It's about the families. And that's a good thing. But all of a sudden now, the bell rings, and it's just the fellas. It's just the guys. You're on the road. You're on the bus. You're on the plane. You're in the hotel lobby. You're taking Ubers to the ballpark together. Maybe you're on the team bus, the early bus. A lot of guys take the bus now. There's 3 buses that go to the ballpark every day. There's, say, a 2 o'clock bus, a 3 o'clock bus, and a 4 o'clock bus. The 4 o'clock bus is usually for the starting pitcher and the broadcasters. And so you're on the bus, you're in the clubhouse, you're spending a lot of time together. So a team can gel, and a team can really come together when it's just the fellas on the road for a long road trip and ... you're playing winning baseball. So now you add all these things in the equation. They're 4-1. The Dodgers, I think, are going to go 161-1 this year, so we won't talk about them. But you're 4-1, and you're playing good baseball, and you're coming together as a team because you're winning, because you're playing good baseball, because you're kind of building on what you had in spring training. I tweeted the other day, and it kind of went viral about this team cares about one another. They generally care about one another. And I saw more in the celebration on Wilmer Flores' opening day home run than I did the come from behind win. Any team can run into a fastball, hit a home run, and come from behind. Like, that's going to happen throughout the course of the year. But the way Willie Adames was jumping around outside the dugout, and he was 0 for 4 or 5, I believe. The way Ramos and Jung-Hoo Lee and Pat Burrell and Bob Melvin and everybody was hooting and hollering. We haven't really seen that kind of just let loose enthusiasm from this club over the last couple of years. So you take the things that you heard in spring training, the things that you saw in spring training, the things that we're all starting to witness right now in these games on TV. I mean, how fired up are we for Friday? How fired up are we for opening day at the Yard on Friday? I know there's going to be an enthusiasm, maybe like we haven't had for an opening day in a long time, because of the 21-6 record in spring training, the 4-1 record right now. Buster Posey is the president of baseball operations. Zach Manassian's doing a great job. I mean, it's just got a different feel, doesn't it? And the boys are playing hardball. They're playing good old-fashioned hardball. What's hardball? The pitching and defense. Logan Webb was fantastic tonight. 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, struck out 6, didn't walk anybody, threw 100 pitches, 68 for strikes. By my math, once again, that's 68% strike ratio. I mean, he did that was vintage. That's what an ace does. You get me 3 runs, that's all I need. Tim Hudson used to come into the dugout screaming when we were in Oakland, get me 1 run, and it's to be swearing, get me 1 effing run, that's all I need. And that's the attitude that aces have. You give them a lead, and they're not giving that lead back. That's their lead. You guys did your job. Now time for me to do my job. So while I'm not sitting here planning parade routes and a 4-1 start, all these things, the road trip, the guys coming together, the camaraderie, the way they're bonding, the way they're gelling. And I will say this, and I've said this, and it's super cliche. Good teams take 2 out of 3. Great teams sweep. So tomorrow, I'm anxious to see if this team has another gear. I'm anxious to see if they take that, we won a series and just throw their jocks on the field tomorrow, or do they say we won a series, let's sweep somebody's ass, get on that plane, and see Houston smoldering as we take off. I talk about this all the time. In Oakland, we were 102-60. We used to not just beat your team, we'd beat your city. And when we took off, we wanted to see like smoke smoldering from the city when our plane took off. Because we beat your will to win on Friday, we beat your will to win on Saturday, and you had no chance on Sunday. I had nothing to do with that. I was cheerleader on the bench, but that was the vibe in the clubhouse. That was the vibe of the team. We wanted to just beat your will to win. So good teams, you can use this at work tomorrow. Take 2 out of 3. Great teams sweep. So we'll see what the Giants have left in the tank. But these guys are fun to watch right now. This is entertaining baseball. This is what we've been missing. We've been watching chess. We've been watching pawns and rooks and queens and kings in a chess match and line changes and math and more math, and Giants fans and all my friends and all my family are like, what is this? Now we're watching hardball. Now we're watching baseball. We're watching guys bunt for a hit. By the way, Christian Koss, congratulations on a great major league debut tonight. He went 1 for 3 in my book. They better change that bunt to a hit. That was a base hit. That's not a routine play for a left-handed pitcher falling to the third base side, getting off the mound on a full sprint to grab a ground ball while you're running full speed and bending over. That's a base hit bunt. And that should have been a hit. But he just looks the part. He has a sweet turn on the Chapman 5-4-3 double play. He started a double play. He turned 2 double plays. He drew a great 3-2 walk with the runner going. A lot of guys have a tendency to swing on 3-2 when it's close. He took ball 4. He scored a run when Jose Altuve was playing soccer with the ball down the corner. So nice debut for Christian Koss. And you guys are going to like this kid. I've made Robbie Thompson comps to him. He's a little faster than Robbie Thompson with maybe a little less pop. But he can play defense like Robbie. He plays a great second base. He plays a great third base. You saw him tonight at second base. And I'm rooting for the kid for personal reasons. Like anybody that spends that much time in the minor leagues, you get your chance. He did everything he needed to do to make a big league team in spring training. So the Giants win 3-1 tonight. They go to 4-1 on the season. Pitching and defense. Pitching and defense. Get used to it. Pitching and defense. They're not going to slug this year. Maybe on occasion. Oh, the phone lines are lit up tonight. Look at you guys. Usually it's when the Giants lose, the lines light up. Look at this. Let's go right to the phones. Or should I go to take a break, Jacob, and go to the phones? Or go to the phones right now? All right, let's go to the phones. It'd be nice if after, I don't know, my 10th year in sports talk radio, I knew how to run a clock. Let's go to, is it Oni? Oni in Hawaii. Oni, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Hey, what's up?
Mahalo.
How's it going? Mahalo. Hey, I got a lot to say, but I know you probably don't have enough time. But the first thing, I wanted to call last night, so I'm a day behind. But what's with your callers? Everybody is so, tense on the team, and we're 4-1. They haven't even played a home game yet.
Everyone's so what on the team? I'm sorry, you're breaking up over the Pacific Ocean.
They're tense, dude. Everybody's all oh, they're not going to do this, and they're not going to do that, and
I thought the callers were pretty positive last night. I think most Giants fans are.
Not last night. I meant after the first and second and third game, they're still oh, but you're not going to be able to do this, and you're not going to be able to do that.
Those people don't call my show because they know I'm positive.
Oh, okay, all right.
Well, there's people that want to bitch about anything. That's just the way life is. There's people that find negative. I'm sure there's people that are going, oh, well, Lamont Wade, and we need a problem at first base right now, and I don't know about Tyler Fitzgerald. And, I just, the Dodgers are never going to. I'm sure that there's people out there that are just negative. I mean, that's just how they like to. They like to prepare themselves for the worst and be pleasantly surprised when something good happens. I'm the other way.
Yeah, well, and this is happening, and the top of the lineup's not even like doing a lot yet. when they start banging, watch out.
Yeah, here's the thing: when you get 4 hits and win, that's a tremendous sign because they're doing things. They're playing baseball. Remember when Kipe and Kruk said Giants baseball torture in 2010, and every game was 2-1, and it was just grind, and we did it all season long. This could be a little bit like this. That's what pitching and defense is. But I'll tell you what, pitching and defense shows up every day. Pitching and defense is more controllable than offense. You're not always going to have the 3-run homer. You're not always going to have the 3-pointer, although Steph made 12 tonight and scored 50 points. We'll get to that later. But you're not always going to have that. What's consistent and what you control in a game that has so many uncontrollables is catching a ground ball, catching a fly ball, hitting the cutoff man, turning a double play, throwing to the right base, keeping the double play in order. These are things you can control. You can't control the ball when it leaves your hand as a pitcher. You can't control the ball when it leaves your bat as a hitter. So if you can control these things by being aggressive, Logan Webb throwing 68% strikes tonight, and being aggressive on defense, they're running. These guys are stealing bases all over the place right now. So this is a different brand. This is Buster Ball. Buster wanted to put pressure on the opponent. Buster wants the opponent to feel the Giants. Whether they win or lose, you feel our presence. And right now, I know it's only 5 games. So far, so good.
Yeah, it's good baseball, really good baseball. This is the stuff that baseball is. I don't care how many good guys, how many big guys you got, work together and we're going to play you guys, so Dodgers better watch out.
Well, I just worry about the Giants, dude. I'm not even looking up right now. Padres are good, Diamondbacks are good, Dodgers are good, but what I do is maybe it's the old ball player in me. I'm just focusing on the Giants. Oni, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Take care.
Good stuff. All the way from Hawaii. Hang loose, bruh. Is Oni like a sushi? Is this like a sushi? Uni? Close. That was close. That was super close. Dana and Scottsdale, you're not sushi. You're on KNBR. What's going on?
I'm not sushi. Man, what a great game tonight. I'm super excited about this squad. It was great to see Schmidt at first base. Walker is just like, how did you feel when Duvall was up there last 2 years? You were nervous, right? When Walker's out there, it's like that guy pounds the strike zone.
He does. I probably don't even need to go here. Tyler Rogers still makes me nervous on occasion, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Tyler makes me nervous.
But he gets the job done. It's not flashy. It's sidearm. It's 83. But he sometimes gets my blood pressure going a little bit. But, like, he's a professional, and you look at the numbers, and he gets the job done. But, yeah, Ryan, I mean, I was thinking this tonight, Dana. Just get to the ninth. Whatever the bridge is to the ninth, it's so nice to have. When's the last time the Giants had just a closer that's just like ho-hum, 3 outs. Shut down. Yeah. We don't have to sit here and grind. I mean, even back to Brian Wilson on the great teams. That was a grind. Rob Nen at times. He's one of my dear friends. Sometimes that was a grind. I'm talking
100%.
Throw your gloves on the field. This game's over if you're on defense with right now with Ryan Walker. Because I don't stress a bit in the ninth inning right now. And if for some reason he gives it up, I'm just like, okay, well, we'll get him tomorrow. That's not a big deal.
Well, the thing about his demeanor, he looks like he's like, this is no problem. I'm the guy, right? And, Ramos has become quite the grinder. He reminds me of like a double XL FP Santangelo out there just grinding.
He's playing hard, isn't he? And he's playing a good left field, and he's grinding at bats. He's fouling pitches off because he stays inside the baseball. He's not cheating to pull the ball. You make a mistake, he'll pull you out of the yard. He's faster than I ever imagined or saw him last year. I talked to him in Scottsdale. He said, dude, you look fast this year. He goes, I am. I feel fast. And I guess he worked on it. So, it's 5 games, so I need to pump the brakes. But like I said last night, Dana, everything that I've heard all winter, everything that I heard in Scottsdale, everything that I saw in Scottsdale, I'm seeing in the regular season. So it's not like, whoa, this team sucks and whoa, they're 4-1. It's everything's kind of lining up. So far, so good.
Yeah, they've had easy wins, and you're right. Tomorrow's big. Tomorrow we got to step on their necks.
I've seen so many. I mean, maybe this is. Yeah, I don't think you can, but that's okay. You said it. It's just not cool. Here's the thing. Like when day games since they banned amphetamines, and this is like honest radio. They're hard to watch, dude. They really are. Guys come out, and into in their defense, you play a late night game. You get back to the hotel. What time is it in Houston right now? 10:15. You're still wired from the game. You drink about 3 Red Bulls and 4 cups of coffee. You play 9 innings. You get back to your hotel room. You're staring at the ceiling. You're flipping around channels. You're thinking about that fastball you took right down the middle and you should have swung in that count. And your brain's going real fast. It's hard to shut down your mind. And there was nights, Dana, when I was in my hotel room, responsible, did not sleep a wink from a night game to a day game because I was worried I was going to sleep through my alarm clock and miss the game, or my brain was still spinning from the last game, or my brain was still spinning about the next game. So what happens is you come out for the day games now and you'll see like a 2-1 game, a lethargic performance around baseball, not with the Giants, but around baseball. So day baseball has been hard to watch. So hopefully the good teams win 2 out of 3, like I said, and the great teams find that extra gear and sweep.
Landon Root, baby, tomorrow. Let's see. Let's go.
All curveballs. 100 pitches, 99 curveballs.
Good. Good.
All right, Dana. Thanks for calling, man.
See you, buddy.
I appreciate it. Let's go to Mike in Fresno, Jacob. Mike in Fresno, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Hey, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good. I'm excited after this win. I think in the last couple of years, the way to describe watching Giants games and watching them was kind of flat, and this year it just feels a little bit different. They look like they're bouncing around, swiping bags, finding a way to get things done.
Mike, I just use the analogy, and I have over the years, that it seemed like a chess match in the past years. Like, it's like, I'm going to show you how smart I am, and then the other manager shows you how smart they are, and then I'm going to show you how smart I am, and then we're going to counter with this. And I would sit in those meetings in the offices with Gabe as the manager, and he would have the whole game planned out. He would say, well, this part of the order is this, and if they bring the lefty here, we're going to counter with this. And what you're seeing right now is it's just, okay, we're going to play the game. We're not like so much concerned about like having a lefty against a righty in the 9th inning. We're just going to play the game. We're going to play the game the right way. We're going to play the game hard every night. Do you see how many guys were dirty tonight, Mike?
Yeah, and it's like even in the Red Series, there was – I think Lamont Wade got Fitzgerald to second, and Fitzgerald swipes third base, and then Adames gets him in. Like, you didn't see that. Like, he would have stayed at first, and then the next 2 guys would have been gone. Like, you didn't see that in the years past.
Yeah, they're playing hard, and they're playing for one another, and they're playing aggressive. All the things they preach that they bought into, and I went on this 5-minute rant last night talking about how these kids have learned baseball a different way than we learned it. So when you talk about Buster coming in and saying, this is how we're going to play, it seems easy adjustment for us. This is how I was raised in baseball. Lead off double, you get them over. Run on third, less than 2, you get them in. 2 strikes, you choke up, put the ball in play. And with the analytic age, these kids have been raised to hit the ball over the shift. Don't cut down your swing with 2 strikes. We're still going to do damage. I don't care if you strike out. It's better than a ground ball to short. And now a lot of these guys had to rewire their thinking. And because they've never learned this, where it seems easy for us. Everybody driving out there right now, everybody listening to the show that played high school baseball, college baseball, Little League baseball, we were all taught these things at a young age. But all of a sudden along the way with all these showcases and travel ball and analytics, the right way to play baseball has been lost along the way. And all of a sudden it's starting to come back. It's coming back around. And you're seeing these Giants. So when we say, hey, they're playing the game the right way, it might not be that easy for some of these kids that don't even know that because they have never been taught it. So in their defense, Bob Melvin's got him buying in, Buster Posey's got him buying in, Zach Manasian's got him buying in, and they're all figuring this thing out.
Yeah, and I think it's better, too, I feel like Fitzgerald's not trying to do something he's not accustomed to. He's kind of playing his style of ball, and it works for him, bunt when he can, swipe bags. He looks like these guys are playing a little bit more loose than years past, too.
Yeah, they're having fun. Mike, thanks for the call.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
They're a scrappy bunch. I'm going to take a quick break, Jacob. If you're on hold, stay right there. I'm going to get to all the calls. Glenn Kuiper coming up around 8:30. We'll talk some Giants baseball. We'll talk baseball in general. Giants win 3-1 tonight. They go to 4-1 on the season. They scored 3 runs on 4 hits. They found a way. Good teams find a way, and we'll see what they have in store for us tomorrow. FP Santangelo, KNBR tonight. We'll be back after this.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
This will be the 100th pitch of the night for Logan Webb. He throws, and a ground ball softly hit to short. Adames fields. Adames throws. Got him at first. And Logan Webb, what a job tonight. 7 innings, 100 pitches in his second start of the year, and just the 1 run allowed.
The ace was an ace tonight. Giants win 3-1. They go to 4-1 on the season. I got to tell you guys this. Full disclosure, I had this big plan, and it sounded really good at home today. I actually was laying in bed last night thinking about this. I was going to come on tonight around like the 9 o'clock hour and tell you that Logan Webb and Casey Schmidt got traded to the Yankees for Jazz Chisholm and 2 minor league left-handers. They're number 10 and 11 prospects in the Yankees organization. And I was going to just do this whole big, like, he was called into the office. He was in tears. Bob Melvin said he had no idea. And Casey Schmidt was shocked as well. And I had this whole shtick about April Fools to like trick you guys. I'm like, that's not funny right now. Like, there's nothing funny about that. The way the Giants are playing. I even ran it by my son today. He's like, "Oh, that'd be great, Dad, but make sure Logan pitches a good game." I don't want to trade Logan Webb on KNBR, not even jokingly, because you guess who's going to find out? Logan Webb. And he's going to pull me aside and go, "FP, you traded me to the Yankees?" And so that was going to be my big April Fool's joke. I don't know. I'm trying to think of some of the better April Fool's jokes that I've seen throughout the year. But I just think jokes are good any day. Like, practical jokes to me don't need a day. Just like Valentine's Day. If you love your significant other, you don't need Valentine's Day to show them you love them. If you're into practical jokes, you don't need April Fools to pull off a practical joke.
Women out there, don't pull out the pregnancy scare on April Fools. That is not okay.
Wait, you sound like you're speaking from experience, dude.
I am.
Wait, a girl you dated did that to you? Like,
Yes.
That's not even funny.
Not even funny.
Unless you're married. And
Heart attack.
Well, you wouldn't do that if you were married because it would be a great thing and you'd cry and you'd say that's awesome. We're about to have kids. Yeah, that's bad karma, dude.
No, not cool.
Yeah.
Not cool.
So
Neither is trading Logan Webb.
Yeah, I think yours is a little bit worse, but this is my personal opinion. I don't know if you're still with that woman, but if you are, you better reevaluate the situation. Giants win 3-1 tonight, and we're talking about how they're playing a fun brand of baseball. And this is a baseball we can get, a brand of baseball we can get behind, right? We dig this. Like the old Maddox and Glavin commercial, chicks dig the long ball. I dig small ball. I dig pitching and defense. You know why? Because we've seen it work. I dig a kid who spent 7 years in the minors making his debut today. And I turned to Joe Rizzo in spring training after a third game, and I said, "This Christian Koss, who the hell's this kid? Like, he plays a great shortstop. He's picking it everywhere. He's dirty every game. He's diving. He's stealing bases. He's bunting for a hit. He's getting hit by pitches." It reminds me of a young me, only way better. And then and a guy that pays his dues and finally gets his chance. I'll tell you what. My junior college coach at Sacramento City College was the first guy to call me when I got called up to the big leagues, Jerry Weinstein. And one of the biggest influences in my life, period, not just on the baseball field, but in general. And he said something to me that I think was the determining factor of me staying in the big leagues for 7 years. On my first day in the big leagues, driving to Olympic Stadium in Montreal, he said, "You put all the hay in the barn. You spent 7 years in the minors." He goes, "Now you're playing with house money." And when he said house money, we've all been to the casino, right? We put the couple, black chips in our pocket. We got the $100 chips in our pocket, and whatever's on the table is free money, basically. And that's how I approached it my first day. It's like, you know what? I played all these minor leagues games. I've spent 7 years in the minors. I know how to play the game. I always said I just want to be Moonlight Graham and get one at bat in the big leagues. So it relaxed me so much, and I kind of saw that in Christian Koss today. It's the most nervous I've been for a debut in a long time because for some weird reason, I've attached myself mentally to this kid. Like, as a broadcaster, you're not supposed to have your favorites. BS. We all have our favorites, and we all know guys we want to stay away from. If you listen to how everybody talks, the most professional broadcasters, including our own, you can tell who they like. It's pretty obvious. You pump those guys up. You give them a break when they have a bad day. You're always finding ways to cover them on the air if they're giving you ways to cover them. And for some reason, I just gravitated to this guy, probably because he reminds me of myself, 28 years old. He's a rookie, 27, whatever he is, whatever I was. And he played all these games in the minor leagues, and I saw that tonight. He looked like Dave said it in the rap. He looked like he belonged. He looked confident. He has this cocky swagger about him in such a good way. But I'm rooting for, like, he hit that ball to third base. That was a C. And I'm like, damn it. And then he bunted that one to first. And I'm like, that's a hit. Like, I was like the mom that was going to, like, call the press box and say, like, that's a hit. And that was a hit. But if they change that to a hit, how does he get his first hit baseball? Like, do they track it down in video and find out where it went in the dugout? Like, because for those of you that don't know, they can call the league and appeal. And it's like a process of 2 or 3 days. And you'll get an email as a broadcaster, and it'll say, Christian Costa's fourth at-bat, the bunt laid down, the first baseline was changed to a hit. This affected so-and-so's ERA. Now those are 2 earned runs, or whatever. We get those emails. But it's probably like a week later, to be honest. And you forgot all about it because so many games have been played. So I don't know. I'm all in on this team. I don't think I've been invested in a team like this in a long time just because of the way they're going about it. There's the old way, the new way, and the right way, which is somewhere in the middle of those two, and the Giants are playing baseball so far, spring training and the first 5 games of the season the right way. Let's go back to the phones. Trevor in Reno. Trevor, you're on the sports leader that didn't have the Giants game on a flat screen tonight here.
I just listened to the game because I cut my cable, saving money.
I think we did the same thing. I think we cut the cable here because the Warriors game was on NBC Sports. We couldn't find the game here because we have some network that I don't want to say the name because I'll probably get in trouble. It's probably a big sponsor. So I was running around going, the sports leader, we don't have the Giants game on, but we all had it on our computers and we watched it anyways.
That's awesome. So I'm going to, there's a lot of callers. I'm just going to ask you this question. Cultural shift. What is going on with this team? Do you think that with Farhan, this team has shifted culturally? I'm going to leave it with that. Thank you so much.
All right, Trevor. Yeah, I mean, I think it's too early to say the culture has shifted. I think the culture will have shifted and we'll know in September. What I would say is the attitude has changed and the philosophy has changed. Culture takes a minute. Clubhouse culture, team chemistry. You got to start winning games. You got to get into the season. You got to get into the rhythm. You got to get into a flow. But as far as philosophy and buy-in and attitude and effort, it all seems way better this year. I don't know if that's a Farhan thing. I don't know if that's a Buster thing. I don't know if that's Bob Melvin's second year thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a Willie Adames influence already. Just one guy can change the culture in a locker room. Apparently he did that in Milwaukee. I know some Brewers players who told me this day he stepped in that locker room, everything changed. Clubhouse, everything changed. So it might be too early to say it's a cultural change, but whatever the culture was when Gabe and Farhan were here, it was different. Let's just put it that way. It was different. And if I'm being honest, at times it was strange. It was. It was strange. And strange to me, which doesn't mean it's strange to everybody. Just what you're brought up with. And most like ex-players, and we felt like we were sounding old. Like, does every generation do this? Does every generation go like, what are they doing? This brand of baseball sucks. What are they doing? Oh, it was so much better when we played. I think there's some of that there. If I'm being perfectly full disclosure and authentic, there's some of that there. But there was a different culture and a different philosophy. And that culture had a lot to do with matchups and getting the edge and analytics and openers and people not knowing their roles on offense or defense or pitching. Nobody knew where they were going to stand at what position on a given night. Nobody knew where they were going to hit in the order. Nobody knew if they were looking over the shoulder getting pinch hit for in the 4th inning with a line change. Closers were brought in that were made starters. Starters were brought in, then they were in the late innings. So it was, if you do that at any job, let's just say any job, and you get to work and you just don't know what your job is. Jacob, today you're on air. You're doing 4 hours, Jacob, on air. Wait, what? Tomorrow you're cutting Warrior Sound. On Wednesday, but you don't know until you get there. And so everybody at KNBR, nobody knows what their role is. Greg Papa's out there cleaning bathrooms on Tuesdays now. He's doing that. But he didn't know. They brought him in to be the afternoon host, but now he's cleaning bathrooms. So that this is, if you have any corporation where guys don't know their role and don't know what they're doing. And it's an everyday thing, dude. Baseball's an everyday thing for 6 months. We live together. We eat together. We breathe together. And if we don't know what we're doing, it's such a routine sport. It's more routine than football. It's more routine than basketball. It's more routine than basketball. It's more routine than hockey. It's more routine than any sport. It's every day. So if every day I don't know what I'm doing, how are you going to get the best productivity out of me in any job? One day you're in this cubicle. The next day you're on this cubicle. The next day you're on this floor. The next day you're on that floor. The next day you're, I don't know. You get what I'm saying. Let's go to Andrew in Chattanooga. Maybe he'll bail me out on this. Andrew, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
I will bail you out on this, and I appreciate the call. Because I'm glad that you're back on the air. I'm happy to hear you. And then when they said that they're bringing you back, I was like, you know what? This is the man I want to talk to after the game. So appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
So I was at opening day in Cincinnati. Absolutely insane. Never experienced anything like that in my life. 130,000 people in a parade trying to get to the stadium, and just trying to experience the Giants. But as the Giants go, excited in spring training when people are saying, how are the Giants going to do this year? And again, I live in the South, Braves country, whatever it may be. You know what? I was like, they look a lot better than I've seen in a long time. And I, didn't want to get excited. I was like, you know what? And then, you know what? They ended up being the best team in spring training. You got to look at something like that. You got to look at, okay, so if they start ball well in April, we have a chance. But what I'm looking at, and they're playing great ball, it's the schedule coming up. Hey, that's going to determine our team. If we can go at least 500 and make it look good or look bad or however it looks. But you know what? This team is a lot better than we've had in a long time. And so I'm just going to put it there.
They're a likable bunch, aren't they, so far?
They are. It's a lot more. You have a lot more. Like I said, the Parham. You want to talk about that? I didn't like that era. Kapler. But with Melvin, and this is their second team. This is their second year together. Most of the guys, we have Adames, we have a couple other guys that we brought up. But you know what? It's a core team, and I like this. These guys are going to play a lot better this year than they did last year, and we can already see it. So
they're playing baseball, Andrew. Well, cool. Thanks for sharing your opening day story. I had a couple in Cincinnati as a player. I never got to experience all that stuff outside the ballpark, obviously, because you're getting ready for a game. But like the pageantry and the introductions and just everybody taking school off, and it's a holiday there. It's just a different vibe in Cincinnati.
Like I said, I've been to a lot of opening day Giants games, but for the parade and like, oh, hey, you're going to the game? They're like, no, we're just here for the parade.
Yeah.
Most insane thing I've ever been in. And I will probably never experience anything like that in my life again.
That's cool, Andrew. Thanks for sharing that story with us. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, going to take a quick break. Yeah, I would say opening day in Cincinnati is like NASCAR meets Jerry Springer. There's that kind of combination to the crowd in Cincinnati. If Jerry Springer was doing tryouts and there was a NASCAR race after the opening day, that's kind of the vibe I got in Cincinnati. 808 KNBR is the number. Glenn Kuiper going to join us next on the Sports Leader.
The nighttime is the right time for Sports Phone KNBR. Let's go on the sports leader. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Now we're swearing on the rejoinders. I love it. Little LFG to get us fired up for this next segment. My only guest tonight joins us right now. The Giants had a fantasy camp in Scottsdale in February, I believe. And my guest tonight was the commissioner of the fantasy league down there, of the fantasy teams. And he was also the judge in kangaroo court. He had a robe, he had a gavel, he had glasses on to make him look even older than he already is. But nice enough to join us tonight is Glenn Kuiper. Glenn, what's going on, man? How are you?
FP, I didn't know I was your only guest. That's nice. I feel honored.
Well, I you know what's weird, Glenn, is I do this show for 2 hours now. I used to grind for 4, and we would be like, I need 3 guests tonight because I can't talk for 4 hours. But it's only 2 hours now, or an hour and a half, whatever it is. So I can talk to a tarp during the rain delay for an hour and a half. So thanks for coming on tonight. How you doing?
Well, I appreciate it. I'm doing great, and I'm always up for talking baseball with you, Frank, anytime.
Well, talk about the Giants and your thoughts early in the season. They're 4-1, and they're playing some pretty good baseball. You were down in Scottsdale for pretty much all of spring training, so you've seen this in Arizona, and now you're watching it come to fruition in real time.
Well, a lot of times it doesn't always work that way, FP, where you hear about what a team wants to do and how they want to play and what they want to get better at. And all that good stuff. It sounds good, right? But it doesn't always move right into the regular season. But in the case of the Giants, at least in the very early going here, everything that they said they wanted to do and the way that they said we want this team to play this way, they've done it exactly. And this way was let's pitch, let's play defense, and let's get a couple big hits each game. If we can do that, we're going to win a lot of games. But what's kind of cool is exactly what they said they were hoping would happen and what they worked on in spring training has happened in the first 5 games of the year. And it's fun to watch. And there's no reason, FP, and we said it, you and I have talked about it in Arizona, and there's no reason why this team can't be really, really good. And if they do this consistently all year where you pitch and you catch and just a hit or two a game, a big hit or two a game, and they're going to be fine. They're not going to slug you to death, but they can win a lot of games with the way they're going about it right now.
You feel like that's more of a consistent brand of baseball, something that in a game where there's so many uncontrollables that you can control on a daily basis.
Yeah, a little more sustainable, and listen, you have to have the artillery, right? And it looks like their starting rotation is going to be really good, and that's really kind of where it starts. But these guys throw strikes, and they're all good and talented, and you got a nice mix of veterans, and then you got the young guys, and so it starts with that. But they have that. Last year, I just don't know that they had it as far as quality rotation, depth rotation. Well, now they have it, and it was hard to imagine them not being a good defensive team this year, just by looking at the personnel, right? I mean, they're above average at every spot defensively. So it's fun to watch. I hope it continues, and they're going to have a hiccup here and there, but nothing flashy, nothing spectacular except for maybe, Wilmer's home run in Cincinnati on opening day. Just solid baseball. And, that's kind of a general term, but yet it has a lot of meaning to it. Play solid baseball and you'll win, and that's exactly what they've done. So I think it's going to continue. I do, and I think they're going to be a really good team this year.
Yeah, voice here is Glenn Kuiper, nice enough to join us tonight. So talk about Bob Melvin for a little bit. All the talk has been about Buster, and I think justifiably so, and how he's come in and kind of changed the culture and changed the attitude and the vibe. But you were around Bob Melvin for a long time. Maybe Giants fans and even Giants broadcasters are just getting to know him a little bit. And then Giants players, it's his second year. So maybe you can give us an insight when you're talking about consistency and not flashy and just playing solid baseball. To me, that screams Bob Melvin and his personality in a good way. But you were around him a long time in Oakland, and now maybe you can give us an insight to what he's like as a manager in his second year as a Giants manager.
Yeah, I think he's built on old school stuff, but yet he he knows that, all the new school stuff, for lack of a better phrase, is there and it needs to be used, and it can certainly help. So he's done a nice job of kind of grabbing that and putting it all together in his mind and, helping him make decisions and that type of thing. But I think he's super happy being here. I do. He was in Oakland for a long time, and he had some really good teams. He had some really good years. I think there were times where he butted heads a little bit with his bosses over lineups and why did you do this? Why did you do that type of thing, which I always thought was a little unfair to a manager. But I think his time in San Diego wasn't great for him. But here, finally, and now he's got Buster, who I think their vision is very, very similar. I think this may be the happiest he's been in a long time, just because of who he answers to now, and the fact that Buster and Zach, they have sort of the same vision that Bob does about how a game should be run and how a lineup should be put together and how a bullpen should be used. And, that makes life a lot easier for a manager when you don't have to worry about, as soon as the game's over, the phone's going to ring and somebody's going to be asking you, why did you bring in so-and-so in the seventh inning? I think that's really unfair to a manager. And so he's in a good spot now, and he's learning Buster. Buster's learning him. But if you just think about the things that the Giants want to do, FP, it fits right into Bob. Let's get a consistent lineup out there. I don't want to be moving guys in and out. Let's get as many guys as we can that go out there every day. And now the Giants have that. I mean, they have 6 or 7 guys that are going to play every single day. That's a big deal for Bob. Let's let these pitchers go a little bit further, right? Push them a little bit if we have to. I think Bob likes doing that, and now that's the way Buster thinks as well. So I just think Bob's in a great spot, and I think he has people, like-minded people, running the show now with him, and it's going to make a big difference for Bob.
The stuff we hear as broadcasters down the field when we talk to managers before the game, one of my former teammates here in San Francisco, Scott Service, was a manager of the Mariners. And I remember they came to Washington, and I said, how's it going, Serv? What's it like, man? What's it like being a big league skipper? Kind of always knew you had that in you. And he said, FP, I wouldn't wish this on anybody. He was telling me stories, and now that he's not the manager anymore, I feel like I can share them, that he would make decisions off script during the game, meaning, Glenn, before the game, they would go over everything. All the nerds would get there, and then the front office people, and they would, if this happens in the 7th, we're bringing this guy in. If this part of the lineup's here in the 8th, we're bringing this guy in. Nobody has defined roles, and I guess one game he went off script. And he just went by his gut feeling as a catcher, former catcher. We're talking about catchers a lot, and a manager, and it worked. And to your point, he was called into the principal's office the next day, and they read him the riot act. And he's like, so he felt like really hamstrung, and this was his first or second year as a manager in Seattle, that he couldn't manage. He couldn't even, like what your eyes are telling you real time, the experience, all the years behind the plate, what you've seen on the bench, what you've seen in the dugout, what you've seen as a manager, and you have a hunch like Dusty used to, and you can't do it, and if you do it, you're getting fired. I mean, I can't imagine managing under those circumstances.
Well, no, and that would take, it would take a lot of fun out of managing, and I'm not saying it's a fun, I think it's obviously a great job, but it's a very difficult job, but you don't have to make it more difficult for your manager if you're one of those front offices that's, climbing up his back all the time and telling him what to do. I always find it interesting too, FP, and it's a great story, and you said it best. It's like, as he went off script. Well, it's like, how can you have a script for a game that you're giving your manager before the game when you haven't seen any of that game be played, right? So to me, all the things that are put in that script, I think there's probably good things in there. But all of that stuff is from what has happened before. None of it is from what is happening in that game. You understand what I'm saying? And so I think a manager has to use that stuff, but also has to look, well, what has happened in the first 6 innings today? Is my pitcher good? Do I like what he's doing? Have I seen some weird swings from the opposition? And, so is this guy really hot right now, even though the script says he's only, so-so for the year. So there's so many things that I just don't know that enough of that day's game is put into the whole mix of preparing a manager, for what's going to happen for the 9 innings. And I think it's hard. I think there's some managers in the big leagues that probably aren't happy because of things like you just said, and because of what things, I've seen it too. I've seen it with, with managers that I've, announced for. They're just not happy. And most of the reason is because they're not allowed to completely do their job. They have people, telling them what they think they should have done after the fact. And, that's kind of a crappy thing when you're told after the fact that you screwed up. I think it happens a lot in the big leagues.
Yeah, and you see guys, Glenn, in the dugout, too, when you're down there real time, and you're looking guys in the eye, and you can tell if they're confident, if they're scared, if they're tough, if they're fake tough, if they're throwing helmets, if they're melting down right in front of your very eyes, and this guy was supposed to go another inning, but you took him out because you're seeing things that by experience, and there's body language and actions. And I think what we're seeing with Bob this year is he's getting a little more leeway to do what he wants to do. And when you have a former catcher as the president of baseball operations who's a Hall of Famer, and then another catcher who's the manager, they see we've all been around catchers. They know the game better than anybody. Yep. They're managing personalities every single day. It's not just about the buttons are pressing or the fingers are putting down. They're managing personalities on the mound. They're managing personalities in the clubhouse, and then all of a sudden they're on the top step or running an organization and they're managing personalities.
You know what? That's a very interesting point, FP. I don't think I've ever thought about that, but you're right. A catcher, he's managing, 13 personalities, right? Your third baseman isn't managing 13 personalities. And we're not talking about Matt Chapman specifically, but we're talking about the position itself. And that's why there's so many managers, obviously that are former catchers. But listen, I sat next to Ray Fosse. God bless him. I miss him dearly. For a long time in the Ace broadcast booth, and I learned so much from him. And it was little things. He would say something, and we'd go to commercial break, and I'd say, I never saw that. I never thought about that. And it was just something small, but that's the way a catcher's mind thinks. So, yeah, I think Bob is, it doesn't hurt. You're right that your former or your boss, Buster, is a former catcher. You're a catcher. You got a Gold Glove catcher that you watch every day. So that's one of those little things that I think probably helps Bob out a lot. Yeah,
plus, let's be honest, pitchers' personalities, that's a lot to deal with. They're not athletes. Well, they're out there. They think they're athletes. They're not athletes. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, plus, I mean, you're talking about their personalities on the day they pitch, which is different than the 4 days that they're not pitching, right? So you have to adjust. You have to adjust, and some don't care, but others you're like, I'm gonna stay away from that guy. He's acting weird today because he's pitching, and I mean, you saw in the big leagues. I'm sure you knew guys that, you know what? I'm gonna just go the other way from his locker today because he's pitching, because he's a little weird on pitch day, and so you got to deal with that, right?
Yeah, he's a little weird the other 4 days too. Talking to Glenn Kuiper, nice enough to join us. You don't have to answer this, but I think I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, since you brought up the A's. Did you happen to take a peek last night, and what was your thoughts?
I did not, and because you are a very good friend of mine, and I would never not be honest with you, I really haven't watched an A's game since May of 2023, if you want me to be completely honest.
All right. Well, I know you do. That's fine.
Not to be real specific, FP, but I really have not watched an A's game in 2 years. I just haven't. It's not something I want to do. I know they're in a weird spot with the Sacramento thing, and it's probably going to be weird for 3 years, and there's going to be things that pop up. I think with the players union and stuff, I think there's going to maybe be some issues there, but I think it's going to be a little bit of a rodeo ride for 3 years.
Yeah, weird is the word, man. I watched last night. Yeah. At times, I was paying attention to the Giants more, but weird was the perfect word for what I saw last night. All right, You did a sit-down with Chapman. You did some sit-downs in spring training for the Giants. Where can we catch those, and when are they coming out?
Well, I did a really cool, fun interview with Matt Chapman. That's going to come out on the Giants YouTube channel soon, maybe tomorrow or within the next couple of days, kind of leading up to his bobblehead giveaway, which is coming up on Saturday, which is going to be awesome. We talked to Patrick Bailey, had a nice long interview with him, which will be, on the YouTube channel later on. And Elliot Ramos had one with him, and Willie Adames. So that was a lot of fun, and those will all air on the YouTube channel at different points during the season. So that was fun, and it's fun talking to these guys. Chapman was terrific. I've known him for a long time. He's just, I can't say enough awesome things about him, and I know you feel the same way. So just to sit down and just talk, baseball, but life and being in San Francisco now for probably the rest of his career, what that means to him. So that'll be coming up on the Giants YouTube channel and their other platforms sometime in the next couple of days. I'm hoping for. So, but I appreciate you mentioning that.
Yeah, good stuff. I can't wait to check it out. And am I going to see you on Friday? Are you going to be at opening day?
Oh, come on. What do you think?
Are you you want to tailgate first?
I do. You know what? I do want to tailgate with you, and then Gotham Club, and we're just I have to be there. It's such a cool day, and I can't imagine how you guys felt as big leaguers on opening day, but I just know, just as a fan, it's just there's something about it. There's just everybody's in that great mood, and it's super fun, and the Giants do a great job opening day. It's during the day, which I think opening day should always be during the day. So, yes, I will be there, and I expect us to have one of our many good, solid baseball chats that we have every time I see you at the ballpark.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The difference between a player and a broadcaster or somebody that's just a fan is you're just as excited, but now I can have beers before the game when I couldn't as a player. So that's the big difference, just to loosen up a little bit for opening day.
Just don't loosen up too much, all right?
Yeah, I won't. I'm not working until 7 o'clock. I'm doing the show late at night, so I got plenty of time to regroup. Kike, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it, Glenn. That was cool of you to come on tonight, and I'll see you Friday at the opener.
All right, CFP, thanks a lot. I appreciate it, bud.
That was nice of Glenn Kuiper to join us. All right, top of the hour. I think I'm going to go to 9:30. I love this newfound power that I have at KNBR that Mike Kohler has given me, and then Mike Kohler Productions. He just go till the show kind of fades out, which is common sense. We used to bang our heads against this door from 9 to 10 every night going like, what do we talk about now? What am I talking? Oh, my God, there's nobody on the road. Nobody's calling. So it's nice. We're going to 9:30 tonight. Let's take some calls. I've been teasing torpedo bats for 2 days. I don't know if you could say that. I've been teasing torpedo bats for 2 days. I want to jump into what everybody's talking about in Major League Baseball next on the Sports Leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Giants 3, Astros 1. One out, runner at first. The pitch. Ground ball to third base side, over to backhanded. Chapman to second, one. Costa first, double play. Wow. Matt Chapman racing to his right, grabbing that one, firing a strike right to Koss, and Koss with a lightning quick relay back to first to get the speedy Altuve, the third double play induced by Webb tonight.
If you just joined the show, Giants win 3-1. They go to 4-1 on the season. Pitching and defense was a story of tonight's game. Logan Webb went 7 strong. Gave up 1 run on 5 hits, struck out 6, didn't walk anybody, threw 100 pitches, 68 were strikes. Got some big outs. The Giants are 3 games over 500. They couldn't get to 3 over until August 10th of last year. That was 119 games into the season. So 3 games over, just 5 games into the young campaign. They're playing with emotion. They're playing with passion. They're playing with joy. They're playing for each other. There's human beings running around getting dirty and trying to win baseball games all of a sudden. Not that they didn't before. It just looks like they're playing baseball. Good old-fashioned hardball, the way the game was meant to be played. All right, I got to get into the torpedo bats. I've been teasing it for 2 nights. You guys have heard this, right? For those of you that haven't, it's the new bat that the Yankees are using, but people have been using for about a year now. Michael Kay on the Yankees broadcast the other day made light and showed everybody Jazz Chisholm's bats and how they're kind of like bowling pins, if you will. That's kind of how they're shaped. If you cut them off, maybe say it's a 34-inch bat, 25 inches into it, it would just look like a bowling pin. They get real wide at the end. They're skinny on the handle. And you're getting that kind of buggy whip at the bottom with these new style of bats. They're called torpedo bats, but they really should be called bowling pin bats, but that's not as sexy. So the players actually named them torpedo bats. So the Yankees have this huge series where the Brewers' pitching's decimated and was throwing balls right down the middle, and they crushed the baseball on a rare 80-degree day in April in Yankee Stadium, or end of March, whatever it was. And the ball flies there when it's warm. They're ordering these things, every team, at such a rate that they can't get them out fast enough. Ellie De La Cruz, the Red shortstop, who is stymied by Giants pitching over the weekend, went like 4 for something with 2 home runs and 7 RBIs after he picked one up in batting practice. So they don't have fatter barrels like you're looking at when people are making these crazy pictures on Twitter or Instagram. The barrel, the sweet spot is just longer. So if you're holding the bat horizontally, the sweet spot usually is about 4 to 5 inches. Now it's a little bit longer, like 6 to 7 to 8 inches. So that if you hit down toward the label, generally speaking, if you hit the ball on the label back in the day, your bat would explode. Don't hit on the label. It doesn't go anywhere. Now you're probably getting rewarded for a ball over shortstop into the outfield. And if you do hit it on the sweet spot's greater. What I thought was super interesting about this today, the head guy from Marucci Bats was on MLB Network. And I forget his name. He's a former pitcher. And I probably should have done a little more prep work and had his name, but it's really irrelevant. And he was telling that Marucci has a bat lab now. So what they do is you go, like when you all go get fitted for golf clubs, they have a bat lab now at Marucci where players come in and take swings, and the computer analyzes your swing. So what the game has evolved into, stay with me here, is if you're facing a sinker ball pitcher today that's going to throw the ball down and in and you're a right-handed hitter versus a right-handed pitcher, there's a bat that you can use against this pitcher that will get you and the barrel to that sinker more consistently based on your swing plane. If there's a left-handed pitcher pitching against you and he's down and away and soft with everything away, there's a bat that's conducive to that. So a lot like golf, baseball is evolving into different bats, just like there's different clubs for different kinds of swings, how you're feeling. Like if you're tired, Jason Giambi used to start out with a 34-inch bat, and he would go down to a 34-ounce bat, slow down, and he would go down to a 31-ounce bat by the end of the season, because there's certain days, Jacob, when you pick up a bat as a player, and I used to do this all the time, you pick it up in your locker, and you just feel it when you get there, and some days it feels like a wiffle ball bat. and you know whoever you're facing is in trouble because it feels light, and I'm going to get him. There's some days when you pick it up and it feels like the left field foul pole. And like, how the hell am I going to get this through the strike zone tonight? I'm facing Kevin Brown. He throws 97. So if you can have a bat that on certain days, because I'm feeling tired, it's not if I'm feeling happy or sad, you use a different bat. Like, I'm super happy today, I'm going to use this one, or I'm really sad today. No, it's how you're feeling as a player. So now they're tailoring bats for different pitchers for different players. Mark DeRosa on MLB Network, Harold Reynolds, they were all taking swings in Studio 24 today with him, and they said if they had these bats, they would have raised their average. And I want to feel one. I want to fondle one, and I want to see what all the rage is about. So apparently the Giants are ordering them. Kipe was talking about on the broadcast tonight. The Giants are ordering them. They just can't get there fast enough because everybody's ordering them. And it's just the way they're making them at the factory. And there's all kinds of different bat makers. It's not just Marucci. It's Sam Bat. There's Louisville Slugger. There's all kinds of different brands. But now they're all going for that bowling pin kind of look on the end, so there's a bigger sweet spot.
Like, I remember the axe handle. Do you remember when that first came out?
Yeah. When
the axe handle bat came out? And everyone was just like amazed by it. And some guys were using it, some guys weren't. This seems kind of like that, but I don't know, man. The Yankees, it's working for them. It's crazy.
Remember when Barry Bonds was one of the first guys to use maple? That guy, Sam, it's a good story. I was in Ottawa in AAA, and this guy comes into the clubhouse in Ottawa, and his name is Sam. Picture this. Overalls, just like a goofy dude with overalls. Looks like he came right off the farm, and he's got these bats. It's right out of a movie, dude. It's like the Wonder Boy. And he goes, I'm making these new maple bats. You want to try one? So Sam, from Ottawa, Canada, and I'm in AAA in Ottawa, gives me a 35-ounce bat, and I used to like to swing a heavy bat in batting practice, so my game bat felt lighter. Almost like an on-deck bat. So I had this 35 huge bat. I used it for 5 years in batting practice, and it never broke. It was just my bat. But we're like, who is this goofy dude? Like, what a dork. Nice guy, but just like, super Canadian, eh? Like, hey, you want to try my bats with overalls on and just coming in the clubhouse, eh? And hey, we're like, get this guy out of here. Barry starts using his bats, the Sam bat. You remember with like it literally had a bat sign on it. It said Sam. So Barry was the first one to really make maple bats popular. And as soon as Barry's hitting all the home runs, everyone's ordering maple bats and Sam bats. And I use a Sam bat with the Giants. I use a Sam bat with the Dodgers. I use a Sam bat in Montreal. Once you got to maple, it was a more dense wood. And it didn't fray. Ash frays. So what we would do is take the ash bats, and Murph would have a big cow bone in the locker room, and we would sit there and we called it boning our bats. No joke. And you would take the bat and you would press it on the cow leg bone, and it would compress the wood so it lasted longer. Make your bat harder. Yeah, have fun with that. But the ash bats broke. The maple bats were more dense, and the ball jumped off them. They weren't as flexible, so you gave up some buggy whip, where the ash would actually bend when you're swinging, so you get that whip effect. But the maple was stiff. So some guys liked the maple, some guys didn't like the maple, but when you made contact with the maple, the ball jumped big time. It was almost like cheating. I've used a cork bat. We had somebody in Montreal that would cork the bats, and you pay him $25 a bat, and we would screw around with them in batting practice, and it was a tennis ball effect where the ball would hit the wood would hit the compressed tube of cork where they hollowed out the middle, and it would tennis ball the ball off your bat. So you'd get an extra, 40 feet sometimes with a cork bat. We knew who was using them because it made funny sounds. Maple came along, nobody had to cork their bat anymore because it had the same effect. So that's the only thing I can compare it to. But now pitchers are bitching about it, and they're like, oh, this is cheating. Yeah, meanwhile, you got, suntan lotion all over your hair. Like, watch every pitcher. Giants pitchers, watch every pitcher. Watch every pitcher between pitches. They're always, Logan Webb grabbed his right ass cheek 27 times tonight. Like, there's something somewhere with everybody. Like, everyone's using it. Nobody cares. And this whole, show me your glove thing on the way out. Kurt Ainsworth, thanks on the text line. Former major leaguers ahead of Mariucci. I appreciate that. So we'll get to the phone calls, but I still think it's the hitter. But if I rubbed peanut butter on my forehead and put my baseball hat on and that worked, I would do it every single day. So if you're picking up this bat and it just feels good, back to my initial point, like in your locker, it feels good in your hand. Now you already got an advantage.
Now, that's kind of what I wanted to know. Like, how long would it take you to get used to it? You know, like you get this new torpedo bat one day and you go to the cage and you like it. Would you ever go to a game with it? Like just right away?
What you did, Jacob, is you would try out the bats in batting practice. And if the ball was jumping off it, we call it, it's hard. You can hear the different sound. We would take the bat, if the microphone's a bat, and we would grab it and we would hit it. And if it pinged high, if it had a high ping in your ear, you put it right up to your ear and you hit the bat. And if it went bing, so the higher the ping, the harder the wood when you put it by your ear. So if it was like boom, no, that's a bad bat. It's bad wood. Or if it was like bing or bing, oh, like this is a pearl, bing, and you would hit it by your ear. And so you would know the density of the wood based on the sound when you knock the bat with your hand by your ear. These are all like little tricks I'm telling you guys right now. So yeah, but you would know immediately. You would try it in batting practice, and then guys would be like, "Oh, this one's going in the game tonight. She's my gamer." And guys would talk to their bats. Guys would take their bats home. How many hits you got in your baby tonight? You know, in front of their locker. Brad Fulmer would take his bat home in a sanitary sock every night and just go swing naked in front of the mirror. That was his weird thing that he did. So yeah, there's all kinds of different bats you could use, different models you could use, but. I would have loved to have seen this. The only thing I think is all my bloopers would have gone right to the outfield if there was a bigger sweet spot. So all those bloop hits I got would go right to the left fielder. But yeah, they were talking too, Jacob, that because of the way the sweet spot was developed on these with the computer, that it changes the launch angle. So like maybe a pop-up's a line drive now because the barrel's a little bit bigger and longer. Maybe a foul tip is a line drive back up the middle instead of a foul tip off the screen in your 0-2. So this is very intriguing to me, and I don't think it's cheating. I don't think it's cheating at all. There's some people saying that it is. It's not. It's just it's just technology's catching up. I think it's pretty cool. So we'll see. We'll see. I can't wait to get down to the ballpark on Friday to see if they have any of those torpedo bats. I know that the Yankees need torpedo gloves. That's what they need.
Well, it's definitely going to be the first guy to use it on the Giants or whatever. Somebody's slumping, right? You know, like you're always looking for a changeup. So maybe somebody who's not doing too hot might switch to the torpedo bat.
Yeah. Or if you're doing good, like just maybe this is make me do even better. Oh, okay. There's tons of calls here, and we're kind of winding up the show. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Gabe in Antioch. Gabe, you're on the Sports Leader. What's going on?
Hey, FB, great to have you back on live on KNBR 680. You make the evenings, fly by. You could read the phone book, and with your personality, people will still be, hot on the phone lines.
Thanks, Gabe. I appreciate it. What do you got for me tonight?
Well, I'm glad, this young kid played second base, Chris Kloss. I didn't know much about him, but looking forward to Fleming said that he's a rookie, but he plays like a vet. So I didn't know if you have any insight on him.
Gabe, I was all over him early in spring training. I don't want to sit here and say I knew he was going to make the team, but he really stood out to me. Of all the players I saw down in Arizona, he was making sweet plays at shortstop, sweet plays at second. He reminded me of a young Robbie Thompson. Maybe without the pop that Robbie has, but he's got sneaky pop too, but he plays with a certain flair and a swagger. He looked like he belonged. And a lot of times in spring training, we say, well, he's 4 for 10 or he's 1 for 26. There's a certain way you go about it and you look like you belong as a big leaguer. You look the part, and he passed that eye test immediately. I'm like, oh, this kid's a player. Where did we get this guy from? And I was talking about him openly on the broadcast that he was my favorite player in camp, and I hope he made the team, that I was a president of his fan club. And I was kind of half joking, half serious about that on the air. And then later in camp, I got inside word that he had a chance of making the team. I was like, oh, he's got a chance? Like, I'm fanboying over this kid, like, because he reminds me a lot of a young me that was a utility player that played in the minor leagues for a long time. So I've kind of latched onto this kid, and it was nice to see him in his debut. He looked the part tonight.
Cool.
All right, Gabe, thanks for the call. I got to bounce.
Your sign off on the Hotel California.
Okay, thanks, buddy. I appreciate the call. The text line, clean it up on the Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line. Ron Jeremy used a torpedo bat. Come on. I mean, how old are we right now? That's pretty good, actually. That's why I giggled. That's why I giggled like a 12-year-old in the middle of what I was saying earlier. Dino Bambino, you're on the Sports Leader. What's going on?
FP, man, what's going down?
How you doing, Dino? What's up, man? Nice to hear your voice.
Fantastic, man. Hey, dude, I just want to say something about the eye test, man. The eye test is so crucial. Buster Posey has it. And I think with cost and a lot of this lineup that we have entering into this season, they pass the eye test. Posey has it. Being a catcher, like you said, is so important. Seeing the entire field, managing a staff. The defense is so important, man. The left side, the outfield defense has improved by a mile. I know that we have just a small sample of Jung-Hoo, but I really think he's the truth. He can cover a lot of that center field area. The left side is so good between Chapman and our new shortstop. It's so good. And our rotation is, I think, the best probably since 21 with Gosman and that crew. That was a hell of a staff as well. But these guys right now, it just seems that like the middle relief, the very end, 8th inning, they just seem solid. And the proof is in the pudding. You've seen it. I know it's, like I said, very small, but I think that Posey right now is pulling the right strings, has been since the off season, back to hum baby baseball, which is very important for all of us, man. And I don't know, just a pleasure hearing you, FP. Let me tell you that, dude. Coming from a real ball player, it's like listening to Kruko, man, and Kuiper. But Kruko is just like he's a professor when it comes to pitching and all baseball. But your insights, dude, are the best, dude. And it's great having you, man. This is the best show.
Thanks, Dino.
All day long.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate the kind words. Really, really nice of you. Yeah, I'm excited about this team. I'm excited about what they got going. It's not a small sample size for me. This is what I heard all winter, and I was lucky enough. And thanks for the call, Dino. I heard all winter at all the fan fests and all the various functions that I was lucky enough to be able to host for the Giants. I did a lot of work for them this winter, and you're hearing all the right things from Buster and Zach. And then it was funny. Buster and Zach and I did a season ticket holder event where I was emceeing. And one of the fans, we opened it up to questions. And one of the fans said, like, what about Willie Adames, Buster? Like, we really like Willie. Do you have your eyes on him? And I jumped in. I said, well, as the president of baseball operations, Buster is not allowed to talk about names right now because in the free agent market, you're not. So I said, but I'll butt in as the broadcaster who can talk about names. I really, really like Willie Adames, and I hope we get him. And they kind of laughed. And I had no idea they were on him. And I've always just been a fan of the kid from afar in Milwaukee every year. I don't know if you guys remember, it was 2 years ago. I forget who was hitting, but somebody fouled the ball off into the Brewers dugout and hit Willie right in the forehead. And we were doing the broadcast, Joe Rizzo and I think it was Dave and Hunter on the TV side in Milwaukee. And we were just like, it cast a pall over the whole broadcast because he was down in the dugout and they took him to the local hospital and the game just went on. And it was just such a buzzkill because everything you hear about this guy was just like, he's great in the clubhouse. He's the nicest guy in baseball. You got to get to know him. Go say hi to him, FP. And then we saw him, like, literally, I don't think that Jeff Kuiper, the producer on the TV side, I don't think they showed the replay because it was so gruesome. Like, it got him, like, right in the temple. Right, and the dugouts are close in Milwaukee, just like they are at Oracle Park. And so I'm thinking, oh, I hope this guy's all right. And the Brewers ended up, I guess the moral of the story is the Brewers made like 3 errors the next inning on defense. They were all out there like zombies because their guy was in the hospital and they had to go play the game. And that was kind of my introduction. I asked questions about him, and Christian Yelich and I have known each other over the years. And Yelich's telling me, like, this is the greatest guy in the world. He's changed our whole culture here. He's the same guy every day. So, yeah, big fan of Willie Adames. Let's go to Colleen, who's been waiting patiently. Colleen, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Hi, FT. I got a couple questions for you.
Bring it.
Okay. Do we have any up-and-coming Italian last name Giants?
I think Eldridge, Bryce Eldridge is 100% Italian, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's from Sicily. He was born and raised in Sicily.
Oh, my God, that's super cool.
He's 100% Italian.
How come that doesn't sound like an Italian last name?
It's a really odd Sicilian name. It's if you're down by the end of the boot, you'll have some weird names like that. But, yeah, he's 100% Italian.
We got to come up with an Italian nickname for him.
Colleen, it's April Fool's today. You know that, right?
Oh my God, you got me, son of a! I was gonna tell you what I do on April
It's
Fool's
amazing when you say in this mic that people believe. It's unbelievable. Yeah, Bryce Eldridge is 100% Italian, Colleen. I think he's in the mob and he's connected.
I won't go there. I won't tell you my Italian last name.
You want to talk about Jung-Hoo, Colleen?
I do. How do you know that?
Because it says on the screen here, I have a screen. It says Colleen, San Jose, Jung-Hoo, and minor leagues. It tells me what you guys want to talk about.
Oh, I have another thing. Did you pick a number of wins this year, or do we want to do that?
Nah, I never do that.
I just know we're going to win a lot of games.
I do too. I'm going to say a lot. How many do you think? A lot?
I think a lot.
Yeah, I think a lot too. You can't get that analysis anywhere.
It's not just because of spring and, like you said, it's only been 5 games. It's the feel, it's the look, they've got it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean.
They got it.
They got it.
Wait till the Italian stallion gets called up from AAA, Bryce Eldridge.
Stop it.
It's going to be amazing.
True, Bryce.
That's his new nickname, Colleen, the Italian Stallion from AAA, Bryce Eldridge.
Yeah. And did you guys even talk to Jung-Hoo Lee about Jungle Boogie?
I did not. I haven't seen him. They've been on the road. There's this thing called a road trip, and they're on it right now. I'll see him Friday, though.
I got an answer for you on the A's thing. I was checking the weather this morning. I was streaming a couple of our local news stations, and both of them had whole segments. And I wanted to see the Giants highlights because I listened to the game yesterday. I didn't watch it. So both stations had complete segments on the A's and Sacramento, and nothing on the winning Giants.
Well, that's because that's their team, Colleen. It's the Sacramento A's of Las Vegas. They're in Sacramento right now. I'll tell you this: if the Cubs scored if the Cubs scored 18 runs on a cold, rainy day, that's going to be a joke of a ballpark this year. It's going to be 25-24 games. It's going to be like Coors Field. They scored 18 runs, and there was all the home runs. The guy hit for a cycle on a cold, rainy day. When it becomes 110 degrees in Sacramento and you have major league hitters with torpedo bats, it's going to be 25-24, 21-20. Wait till you see these scores that are going to come out of Sacramento this year. It's going to be ridiculous.
I know you know baseball in Sacramento.
I do.
And the area. What about when it's 115? Because last year it was 115.
Yeah, it's going to be.
It's like desert numbers. Can
you
even play that?
Yeah, of course. You know who loves 115-degree weather, Colleen?
The Diamondbacks.
Italians. I got to go. I've given you way too much time tonight. Thanks for the call. Let's talk to Roy in San Leandro. Roy, I need you real quick tonight. What do you got?
I just wanted to mention to you, it's really good the Giants are winning. Ain't no question that everybody's in, and the vibes are real high. I just wanted to mention that, number one, I think the Giants need another left-handed reliever because at some point Miller's going to get tired, kind of wore down as the season progresses. Number two, okay, you just mentioned that first base stuff. Well, the teams like the Dodgers, Phillies, and these teams that got good offensive players, I just think that the Giants are going to need maybe just a tiny more offense. Like maybe that guy named Eldridge could be the answer. I don't know. But I know playing those teams, those are high-scoring teams. And what I'm saying, it's going to be interesting to see whether Verlander and Ray and them could kind of shut them down and keep them to a minimum. Because I was looking at the game tonight. What's his name? This guy, Chris Sale, the Cy Young winner. He held them down for 6 innings, but they still came back on him. And then what's happened is going to either be a high-scoring game, or else a 1-0, 2-1, or a low-scoring game. And so I just think that this is my opinion. I think the Giants are just going to need just a tiny more offense. Late on, and thank you for taking my call.
All right, Roy. Thanks, man. Well said. Let's go to Ryan in San Francisco. Super quick, too. Ryan in San Francisco here on the Sports Leader. What's up?
How's it going, man? First of all, with that call, I mean, a tiny bit more offense. I mean, we're looking like the 2021 Giants with the home runs and the long ball. But question for you tonight. Have you seen these City Connects on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, that's been leaked?
I have to be careful here. I've seen them in person.
Ooh, okay. Well, then we'll stray away from that one. But have you been?
I like them. I don't know. I don't know if those are the exact ones online. I will not commit to that on 50,000 watts. But I've seen the hats are dope, Ryan. You're gonna want a hat. Trust me. You're gonna want a hat. I'm a hat guy. I have so many at home. I have nowhere to put them. I want one of these hats. The hats are sick.
If I buy another Giants hat, so I don't know.
Trust it. We'll do a show when they come out, and you'll see the hats, and you'll be like, "FP, you were right." The jerseys,
I'll take your word for it.
The whole thing together, the ensemble, all the way down to the ground from the hats, you're gonna like. Trust me.
We'll take it. Better, yeah. How much better or worse than the old ones?
I was never a fan of the old ones, to be honest. I mean, I like certain guys would wear them a certain way. I thought if you went like white cleats and you just went white out with them, it was kind of a sick look. Like white cleats, white sleeves, and you just went all white. It was a clean look. I never really got used to the orange helmets. But here's the thing, Ryan. You have to be careful, like when you're in my position, because there's people that worked on these uniforms for 3 years that are really good friends of mine. Like there was a lot of heart and soul and thought put into the City Connects, and then they have to get approved by the players, and they have to get approved by the team. And so there's a lot of work that went into these uniforms and a lot of thought and a lot of love. So in that regard, I'm probably flying a little too close to the sun on these things, but I got a sneak peek. I did an interview with Dusty Baker, a sit down one-on-one with Dusty in spring training. We got a sneak peek of him, and I'm a big fan.
Love it. One thing before I go, if you were playing in the area of City Connects, what would you do with if you had the creative design there for it?
See, I don't want to get in that, right, because like it's so easy to second guess, right? Like we could sit here and second guess, and all these people like put a lot of heart and soul into it. But there's going to be new ones in like 3 years, I believe. In my opinion, and this is a very humble opinion, if you had Kipe, Kruk, John, and Dave on the jersey somehow, since we have the best broadcast team in baseball, that would be a cool tribute to guys maybe on the back nine of their careers, and that it meant so much to all of us as Giants fans throughout all the years. They brought us so much joy. They've been the voices of our summer. They're the reason I'm a broadcaster, because I looked up to them when I was young and wanted to be like them, and I still want to be like them. So I think if you had some sort of uniform that paid tribute to those four guys in particular, it would be really cool.
That's awesome. I love it. All right.
All right, Ryan, thanks for the call, dude. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Play some lights, Jacob, and we'll wrap it up. I don't know when I'm back. I'm trying to think of when I'm back. Maybe after opening day. I think JT and I are on from 7 to 9:30 on opening day. That may or may not be a sober show. We'll see. It depends how happy we get during opening day. But we have time to regroup. The game will be over at 4. We don't come on until 7. It's plenty of time. Yeah, JT's – and we just got a bunch of new shows together. So JT and FP from the Bunkers is starting to become a thing.
JT Snow, also 100% Sicilian, right?
JT Snow's, yes. I think he might be Northern Italian. But yes, JT Snow, Italian. Peter North, I'm being told, was Italian on the text line right now. And loves the torpedo pass. Oh, I'm going out on top. Love you guys. Thanks for all the calls. Jacob, great job as usual. And like I say on the way out every single night, swing hard in case you hit it on the Sports Leader.